along, new beginnings and new ends. Spending our time with our family and our friends. Celebrate with a cool autumn air. And we're living out our lives as we dance without a care. Oh, we were made, yeah, we were made to be free. The year is turning over and the leaves go golden brown. The sky gets crystal clear as the temperature cools down. Life is full of color as the seasons change around, and the birds make their beautiful sound. Yeah, we were made to be free. We were made, yeah, we were made to be free. Oh, to be free.
My full name is William Wallace Heichelbach. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky on June the 3rd, 1927. My dad's name was Wallace and my mother's name was Mary William, so I was named after both of them, William Wallace. I've always thought that was such an odd name for a woman. They met in a little town called Dale, and it was raining, and I understand that they were coming out of a bank and they shared an umbrella, and that was how it all started. Dad was in the insurance business, and he worked for the L&N Railroad when I was born. He worked in the office, and that was during the Depression. And they cut their wages back. They kept cutting them back and back. And he was cut down to $1.26 a day. So he had to find something better. I had three brothers and one sister. I don't know the year they were all born. She died in 1939. Of strep throat. I don't remember much about her. Her name was Mary Elizabeth, and I would have been 11, 12 maybe. My oldest brother is named James Paul, and my youngest one is named Kenneth Edward. Jim lives in Louisville. He's retired from Blue Cross Blue Shield. And Kenny lives in Owensboro. He was a teacher in Cincinnati at a college. And he later quit at that, and he got a job at Commonwealth Aluminum in Owensboro. I grew up in Louisville. We had a rent house. And when the 1937 flood came, it got in our house. We had to move. We stayed with my aunt till the water went down. And I had an uncle that was about 6'3", and the watermark on the wall was over his head. That's how much water was in the house. So then after the flood, we moved to Princeton, Indiana. Lived there a year, and after my sister died, we moved back to Dale. That's where Mom and Dad were both from. That's where I went to high school, graduated from Dale High, which no longer exists. The building's even torn down now. I graduated high school in 1944. Well, Dad had a hard time making a living during the Depression. Everybody did. And I would say that he had determination, and he always had a job. And Mom was very patient, I learned how to drive, I guess, in 1940. My dad taught me. That's when they had the old stick shift on the floor. You had to shift gears. My first car was a 1942 Chevy. On my 10th birthday, my dad took me to the movie. That was a big deal back then. After the movie, we went to a drug store, the soda fountain. They had soda fountains. And he bought me a soda, and we went to a movie. And that was my birthday present. And I'll always remember that, because I know he didn't have the money to spare, but he did.
Do you remember what movie it was?
Waikiki Wedding. I used to listen to the Chesterfield Supper Club.
Good book. Friday till Monday. That's how the weekend goes.
That's how it goes.
I've got a dream house. I'll build there someday with picket fence and rambling roads. I feel so welcome each time that I return, that my happy heart keeps laughing like a clown. I love the dear hearts and gentle people who never ever let you down.
It was a brand of cigarettes called Chesterfields. And Mom and Dad had a linoleum rug in their living room. And we had a little table radio. And I had a rocker in front of that radio. And there was a brown spot where I had worn the coloring off of the linoleum from sitting there from rocking. I've always been a rocker, still am. I got a whipping one time. The one time it ever happened. I went to school one day and we found out it was a holiday of some kind. There was no school. So one of the boys asked me to go to his house and play with him. So I did. And when I got home that evening, I had a black spot on my pants. And they asked me where I got it. And I said, well, there was some ashes in the schoolyard, and I fell down. Dad said, take me to show me where the ashes were with the heat. By that time he knew. So when I got home, he pulled his belt out and said, I'm not whipping you for doing it. I'm whipping you for telling me a lie. And boy, that made an impression in more places than one. I'll tell you, he didn't beat me, but I mean, I knew I had a whipping. My first job was working on a farm during summer. I worked 3 summers while I was in high school. $6 a week on my room and board. Yeah, my best friend in high school was a boy named Clarence Nord. He was a farmer. His dad was a farm, lived on a farm outside of Dale there. He went in the Navy, and he would write me letters about his experience. He was on LST, like the one they have here in Evansville. He was a little bit older than I was. He was in the Battle of Okinawa, and I was too young to be in the war. But he was a little bit older than me. This was in January 1950, and I went to Air Force Base in Texas, North Texas, a little town called Sherman. And we were up in the plane one day. My instructor was in the back, usually in the back seat, and all at once the engine stopped. And I saw this little thing on the side going back and forth, and I knew that was a pump that they used to force the fuel through the lines. Well, it wouldn't start. So it so happened we were over Oklahoma at the time, and he saw a plowed field where it had been freshly plowed, and he brought that plane down in that plowed field, and I guess he landed it with the tail wheel down first, because it never did turn over, but it stopped all at once. He hollered, "Get out, get out," because feared it would catch on fire. So both of us jumped out, but it never did catch on fire. So after that, for some reason, they changed instructors on me. And the first instructor, his name was Captain Butler. He had been a bomber pilot during the war. And when he said make a turn, he wanted you just to gradually make a turn. Well, the second instructor I got had been a fighter pilot. And when he said turn, he meant turn right then. Anyhow, I wasn't learning it as fast as the program called for. So in April, they discharged me. They didn't have time to spend. You had to keep with their timetable. So I guess it was a lucky thing, because I would have graduated during the Korean War, and who knows, I might have been shot down in Korea, you know. So it worked out for the best. When I got out of high school, I thought I wanted to be a civil engineer. So I went to Evansville College. At that time, they called it Evansville College. Took a year of engineering. Went in the Navy then for a year. Came back and decided I want to be a dentist. So I took a year of pre-dental there. You had to have 2 years of pre-dental. Back then you could get in dental school with 2 years. You didn't have to have a degree like you do now. I took my second year up at IU. And for the coming class, they made your application in April. They had 65 openings and over 2,000 applications, which meant your odds were 1 in 30 of getting in. So if you didn't have straight A's or know somebody, you didn't have a chance to get in. So I had 3 years of college with no major. I would have had to go on. I couldn't have gone one more year and got a bachelor, because it was too varied that I didn't have enough in one thing, you know. I got to go to the Philippines while I was in the Navy. I was over there for 9 months. The war had just ended. I just finished boot camp when they dropped the bomb. So I was never in combat, but I had to go over there as a replacement. I was over there 9 months. And what was I glad to get back to USA. These people that go on about bad stuff here in the country, let them go over someplace in the foreign country and live a while. They'll be glad to get back. First wife was named Virginia, and we met we both worked for Neisner's 5 and 10 cent store. That was on Main Street between 3rd and 4th. The building's not even there now. I'll have to backtrack a little bit here. In 1950, when I came back from the Navy, I worked a few odd jobs there in Dale. I saw an ad in the Courier one day wanting a manager trainee at a dime store. So I went down and applied, and I got it. And that's how my first wife and I met. We both worked there. She worked there too. She worked at the sock counter where they had socks and hosiery and etc. And we started dating. And when we got married, both of us couldn't work there. One of us had to quit, so she quit, and of course I stayed on. And after about 4 months, I got a notice that I was to be transferred to Sioux City, Iowa, as assistant manager out there. Well, in the meantime, I had taken a civil service exam. We had a friend that Mom and Dad, or that we played cards with. He worked at the post office. And he taught me into taking the test, and I passed it. Well, I got a call to go there at the same time. Well, my wife was pregnant with Lisa, and I wasn't going to move to Sioux City, Iowa. So I went to the post office, and I'm glad I did. Started out at $1.61.50 an hour, which was more than I was making at the dime store. When we first got married, we had an apartment at 709 Washington Avenue. That's where Lisa was born. When we lived there, I think old widow lady, well, she was old to me. I see now she wasn't so old, but she rented out 2 rooms upstairs. Well, we had 2 rooms and a bath. We shared a bath. It was down the hall. We had to walk down the hall to the bathroom and the kitchen. The kitchen was down there. We purchased our first home in 1963. It was at 1144 Covert. We lived there 16 years. And we built a new house in 79. Sybil and I met at the country club in Russellville, Kentucky. I had gone there to take a job as postmaster, and she was a widow lady. And my second wife had died unexpectedly. And we met there at the country club, and she had a mutual friend. She was there at the bar with him. Well, they were old friends. She said, call Bill. I was home, had my pajamas on. She said, Sybil wants you to come out here. So I got dressed and went out and walked her to the car, and the rest is history. That was in 1985. So we dated, Sybil and I dated about a year before we got married. She had a nice home and had a deck. And after I retired, or before I retired rather, I'd get off and go up to her house, and she'd be sitting there on the deck waiting for me with a drink on the table. We would have a couple of drinks and get in the car and drive to Bowling Green and dance till midnight. Go to the Waffle House and eat breakfast, come home. We never lived together, but we saw each other every day and every evening. And then after about 6 months, I retired because my mom was sick up in Jasper, and I wanted to have more time with her. So I retired in July of 1985. Sybil and I were married 27 years. She was 60 and I was 58. And you know, with that age, you don't figure on having 27 years together, but we did. And she got sick in 2012. She got sick and with pancreatic cancer and died the next June of 2013.
What was it like having your first baby?
Words don't describe it. It's like falling in love. You can't hardly put it in words. But it's something you never forget. Lisa was born She looked like a little Chinese baby. She had black hair, head full of black hair. She needed a haircut almost. The doctor's bill was $75. Hospital room was $16 a day. Well, my second daughter was born, Kathy was born in 1956. And my third daughter, Diane, was born in 1958. They were all born here in Evansville. It was great. You know, a lot of guys think they have to have a boy. That never crossed my mind. I was happy with 3 girls. I think I was a better dad with girls than I would have been with a boy, because I never played sports. I wasn't a fisherman. I didn't hunt. You know, things that boys like to do. So I was always glad I had girls. We went to Disney World one trip. We had an old 53 Plymouth station wagon. I don't know if Lisa remembers this or not. On the way back, it was nighttime. We were on our way back to Evansville, and the car would, when it got up to a certain speed, it would kind of cut out and miss. And I looked in the mirror, rear view mirror, and there was a string of cars behind us. It was like a pearl necklace with all the headlights. One car passed us. They must have been really frustrated. They threw a chicken out the window at us. I don't know how they happened to have a chicken in the car, but they did. My favorite food is apple fritters. And I love tapioca.
You like the sweets?
Unfortunately, I do, because I've got diabetes and I can't do what I want to at the table. I'm not too sure about robots. They kind of scare me. When you can go in Target and a robot meets you at the door and says, "May I help you?" and then tell you where to go, that to me is scary. And it kind of takes away the humanity of life, I think. Now, I can see them in industry, like up at the Toyota plant we went through. It's amazing what they can do. How they do a lot of, most everything, I guess.
What's the most precious thing in the world to you?
Well, outside of my family, I guess my years with Sybil. Because falling in love is a beautiful thing. You can't describe it. And really gives you a lot of good memories. Makes you appreciate your life more. One of the best things about getting older is your precious memories. Now, I'm not saying you live in the past, because you can't do that. You have to live now. But in your experiences you've had and the advancements you've seen in medicine and science, well, there have been so many things that have changed. The advancements in science and the way automobiles have changed, the way your lifestyle has changed, the things you now have now that you didn't ever dream you would have. And I guess just the feeling of just appreciating life.
It's a new day for me, and nothing in this world will interfere. this is my year.